Hi, Jamie.
How are you?
Doing well. And I see that you have Ralph with you today.
I do. He was just trying to run away from me to go after his toy on his perch, but I just got him back. Hey, come on, big boy, step
Alrighty.
up. Step
Yeah.
up. You can do it. There
So
you go.
there we are. Can you tell us a bit about that handsome boy?
Yeah, this is Ralph. He's neighborhood of 20 years old now. He came to us from an East Bay residence where he had lived outdoors in a indoor cage for 17 years, and he became very adept at removing the bolts from the cage and taking off and going and foraging in the neighborhood, having a good time, partying, and getting himself into trouble. He lost some body parts in scrapes with wild animals. And finally, the owner was persuaded by one of their neighbors that Ralph really needed to not be out there and needed some medical
Mm.
help. So he came to us. I've had him almost 2 years now as a foster, and he and I are very close now. Uh, he it has a huge personality. He's a very large for a blue and gold. He has a personality to match. Super healthy, good eater, uh, talks in a fairly comedic way, and a joy to have in the home.
Okay, so you mentioned a lot of points there. Let's kind of run down through them.
Yeah.
You said male. How do we know that he's a male?
I believe he was DNA sexed.
Okay,
He's
fabulous.
never laid an egg, and I'm pretty sure he was DNA sexed.
Okay, great. And in terms of his age, how old can a well cared for macaw
He can live to 70 and 80 years old. I mean, there are weird reports of them even living longer than that. But that's pretty much what you're going to expect from a super healthy macaw.
okay, so he's actually fairly young.
Oh, yes, he is. Where are
Yeah.
you going, sir? He's going after. I'm going to push this over here so people can see. This is
Okay.
his play stand.
Hmm.
Yeah. And he has a toy he's been enjoying taking apart already. You'll probably see him go after it here. But that's this is the one of a couple of play stands I have. Hey, buddy, turn around. Look what I got. Oh, piece of apple. What do you think? Here we go. So he's decided he wants to be up here on the play stand. So I hope you don't mind.
So, since he is eating the apple, can you tell us a little bit about his diet?
Yes, she is on a mix of pellets. I try to keep my fosters on a mix of um, different healthy pellets that are recommended by our various veterinarians with whom we're affiliated.
Hmm.
So his current mix has Harrison's organic course in it, and also some natural Supreme natural. And I
Hmm.
throw in some rowdy bush sometimes. And I do that so that wherever they move, they can adjust to different feeds that might be offered that are recommended by organization. He also gets fresh fruits and vegetables. For example, right now I have a dish out that he's been going into. It's got chunks of carrots in it and chunks of some zucchini and cucumber and a little bit of apple. And he enjoys all of that plus pretty much anything else that I'll give him. He,
Great.
like a child, likes the sweet stuff the most, but he'll eat his veggies too.
Great. You also referenced earlier that he has a vocabulary, and we always say at Mickaboo that, of course, birds talk. They talk in bird. But aside from that, I think I understand that he has learned a few words in English.
Yes, he has.
So can you
Uh,
tell us about that?
Yeah, it's funny because he has picked up some things from other birds. I have a Senegal who likes to play peekaboo, and so Ralph picked that up and says it back to him. And that same Senegal also likes to say good morning and good night at the appropriate times in the morning, at night. He's picked that up. But he also has a few phrases of his own. He likes to answer the phone. When the phone rings, he says, hello, hello. And unfortunately, he'll tell himself to be quiet and he'll tell the other birds to be quiet. And then just a few other kind of like friendly phrases. He calls the names of two women who I assume were the people who had him before he came to me, but he uses their names to call to me when he wants me to come get him. And I've been trying to teach him to say "mama" instead, so it'll be more generic. But he's only used it a few times, so who knows if he'll hang on to it.
So he's continuing to learn
He
new.
is
Okay.
good learner.
And you mentioned a Senegal. How well does he do with other birds?
He very much. I converted a bedroom into a bird room. And so I have three foster macaws through Mickaboo. In addition to Ralph, I have Gizmo and Reuben, I'm not introducing today, but they have Gizmo has been a guest before. He very much enjoys their ambient company, and the three of them will share. I have two play stands like this, and if I put the play stands near each other, they will crawl across and visit with each other. And the smaller birds, I never allow the smaller birds to be free where the big birds are because of the beak differential and the risk of loss of life and limb.
Mm-hmm.
So he enjoys their jabbering cousins, but they are kept safe from each other when they're out.
Okay. You mentioned a bird room. Does he have a cage in that bird room?
He has a gigantic cage that's almost it's 40 inches wide by 30 inches deep by 7 feet tall. It's a very large cage. And each of the macaws has, in this case, his own cage, since I have three male macaws, as do the smaller birds. Nobody shares a cage. So they get
Okay.
out time supervised together, but I never leave them out of their cage free in the house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you did mention that he was quite the escape artist previously.
Yeah.
Have you seen his continued efforts therein?
Yes. So I had a really good case that he was in at first, and he immediately figured out how to unscrew the bolts. And so I had to take some measures to screw down to further secure those bolts. And then I ended up getting a cage with bolts that were much harder to undo. And he can undo any latch, and so you have to have additional locks on the latches if you wish for him to stay in the cage.
Okay, that's good to
Pretty
know.
secure cage. He's good at it.
Has
Although,
he ever admitted to being embarrassed by being caught having escaped?
no, no, he's rather proud of himself when it happens. I come home and when he used to get out, I would come home and he'd just be all like, "Here I am. I am super happy. Can you see what I did? I'm very excited about it." And he'll only reluctantly go back in. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out which direction to go. Here we go. There.
So, aside from trying to figure out how to get out of whatever enclosure he happens to be in, what does he normally do during the day?
He has toys like the one you just saw him shredding, and I also try to feed, if at least part of, if not all of his pelleted food um, in foraging feeders. So he has to figure out how to get his food out in order to enjoy his full meal.
Okay,
Keeps his brain busy, having to open things, unscrew them, take them apart, shred them, or whatever to get to the food.
good-o. It seems like you and Ralph are getting along very well.
Mm-hmm.
Can we ask, particularly since fosters have the right of first refusal to adopt any of their birds, why you might not be considering doing that?
I am a lady of a certain age, and I know these birds will outlive me. And also, I decided early on that my mission was to be a safe. Oh, you want to go back over there? Okay, I'm not going to stop you. You want your toy? You can have your toy. I made it my mission to be a way station for birds in need. And so I have had seven different macaws come through my home. And I've also had a number of cockatoos come through my home and Amazons before. And I am committed to keeping the inn open for those birds in need. And so I've adjusted my feelings about it. I cry a little bit whenever they're adopted, but I willingly uh, send them to their forever home because I want the adoptable birds to be adopted. So maybe a more difficult bird can have a place to be retrained, resettled, healed, whatever it is they need.
Mm-hmm. Good, good, good. And it looks like Ralph is very, very, very healthy.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he's probably fully flighted.
He is, but interestingly, even though he used to make escapes from his previous cage, he has never really tried to fly around my house. He's pretty happy to just be near somebody, and he has not tried to fly inside my house.
Okay.
I do have another one that does take off. Reuben will take off, but this one never does it.
Okay. I was going to ask you what precautions you were taking to prevent accidents from a fully flighted bird, perhaps going into a window at full force, but we can perhaps leave that for the other bird.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I always do is when I have the birds out, I try to have the blinds down so there's a visual cue to them that it's not an open window. So if you can see right here, I've got these blinds right here, and on all my big windows, I have like big shutters, and so there's a possibility of confusing that with an open window to freedom.
Great. Hey, what other words of wisdom would you have for somebody potentially thinking about welcoming Ralph into their home?
Would say that Ralph is an absolutely prime candidate for a life companion. He will take a little while to get over being mad when he's moved, but he transfers his affections with all that trust building and everything. And he is a very affectionate bird. Loud, yes. Big, yes. The other thing that I would say is don't be afraid of trying a big bird. Some people are afraid of bigger birds, but even if you think, oh, I don't think I could ever be brave enough to change over from having smaller birds, it's different, but it's not, because they're still birds and you still read body language and you still follow the lead and you still earn their trust and all of that. And it's a true joy to have this huge mind and this huge personality in your life. You never go back once you've tried a really big bird.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you, Ralph, for showing off here. And we'll look forward to hopefully somebody signing up to take on Ralph.
Yeah, the lucky person will fund it for Ralph.
Indeed. Thank you again.